Hello and welcome to the Rising Ninth Grade registration sheet specifically targeted for Windsor Knowles Middle School students who will be moving to Urbana High School in the fall. My name is Mr. Walton and I am one of the 5 counselors at Urbana High School, and my goal with this screencast is to walk you through the registration sheet from start to finish in a way that hopefully will answer some of the most common questions that come about from our rising ninth graders. So I'm going to start by showing you the Family Connection page, as you can see right here. Now, this is the Windsor Knowles specific Family Connection page. You will have used Family Connection, which is the student name for Naviance, before. So you would simply put your username and your password in here. For many folks, that is their student ID, and their student ID again is the password. But you may have changed it, the password that is. So if you did, just make sure that you put in what you chose it to. Changed it to, excuse me. If you forgot your password, just go ahead and hit forgot your password. And as long as you have an email linked up to your account, it will feed to the email. If for some reason you do not have an email there, I would imagine you would need to then speak to the school counseling office down there. But what will happen is you'll put in that information and you will officially be taken to a page that looks like this. And this is the inside of your Family Connection Naviance student page. You'll probably recognize some of these tabs, but the big thing for the sake of what we're talking about right here is the registration sheet, the UHS 9th grade registration sheet. Now, a couple things to be aware of. Your course planner is up here. The course planner is a place you can go and project out a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year, or 4-year plan, or just sort of look around at what the options may be. A great resource in preparing for the 9th grade registration sheet. The document library as well, if you go in there, you will see it currently says 2016 registration. It will be changed in a day or two. I'm taping this about a week before registration goes live, but you'll see a folder that says 2018 registration. And in there, you will see a variety of forms that kind of look like these do. And you can see that there's an English, there's a performing arts, science, social studies. And so what will happen is there will be updated 2018 versions of these forms by the time that you get to that part of the document library. So that's a great way to find out some more information on other classes. So once you have reviewed the stuff in the document library, if you feel it will be helpful, you have looked at your course planner, you are ready to access the 9th grade registration sheet. So go ahead and click on it, and it will take you to a screen that looks like this. You will then hit complete a survey, and that takes you into your registration sheet. So what will happen is you will start by putting in your name. This is a field that you need to put in. Our sample student is named I'm a Student, so we're going to put that in. Good to go. You're going to put in an email address or a phone number where we're able to reach you if we have questions about your registration sheet. Maybe you picked too many things. Maybe you picked something that you don't have a prerequisite for. I'm going to just create a Gmail account for I'm a Student right here, and that goes in like that. And then this is your parent signature area, parent, guardian, some adult that you're identifying that you talked about this sheet with. This could be embarrassing if you neglect this or just turn this in without a parent or guardian on it, because what will happen is a parent may reach out to us or somebody who has questions about your sheet, and they'll say, who was it who approved this? And we'll read back a name, and if they're not aware that they're the name on it, you probably don't want to be in that position because you'll probably have a pretty awkward conversation with your parent. So I'm going to say that I'm a student's parent is I'm a B student. So that's going to be the father in this case. So we'll put father in parentheses so that we know who we're dealing with right there. So now we get into the actual class choices. You can see that every single person who enters Urbana High School in 9th grade is going to have to take at least 1 credit of English each year that they're in the building. Your choices are going to be English 9 Honors, English 9 Standard Level, and then there is the English 9 year-long program. And what should happen is you should have gotten some advance notice of what your best fit is, and you would pick that one. If you are slotted for the year-long program, remember that by picking this, you actually are picking 2 classes. So not just one like it would be in the others. As you're getting toward your 8 credits, clicking this would actually get you to credit 1 and 2, whereas picking these 2 would just be 1 credit. So for the sake of this, let's just go ahead and say that the student is picking honors in this case. So we now have one of our 8 choices. We then move on to social studies, where you will need to take a ninth grade social studies class. There are a variety of options. You've got American Studies 2 honors. You've got American Studies 2, the standard level. You have AP US History, which is an AP class. It's the first time it's ever being offered to ninth graders. You must take it in the full year version. So if you go that route, remember that by picking this, it counts as 2 choices. So unlike AS2 honors or AS2 standard level, which count as 1 choice, if you do the AP version, it counts as 2 choices. And a very important thing to notice about that would be that the expectation in U.S. history is going to be significantly higher. You're going to not only have to write at a high level and do a fair amount of reading each night, but your writing is going to be expected to have formal sourcing of court cases, of U.S. history events that you're going to be able to pull into it from the lectures in class and in the reading. So you have to really like history and really want to push yourself to keep a reading schedule and stuff like that if you go with the AP US choice. If you're not sure, but you still want a rigorous class, AS2 honors. If social studies is not necessarily your thing, standard level. There also is what's called virtual in school. It is a new thing that's coming this year. That is where, for a block of the day, it'll be a formal block during the school day, but you could take a class in a virtual classroom. In other words, you're sitting in a Chromebook lab and working on a class individually. The teacher in there will not necessarily be, and most likely will not be, a teacher in the subject area. You'll be communicating via email remotely with the teacher in the class and completing assignments virtually. It is an option. It's not necessarily the best option for everybody. If you're not necessarily good at doing independent work, if you'd rather be in an interactive classroom, it's not the fit for you. But if you're someone that really enjoys working independently and outside of a traditional classroom environment, it is definitely something that you can consider. So those would be options there. For this case, I'm just going to say that the sample student here is going to take American Studies 2 at the standard level. Maybe not. Social studies is not their favorite thing in the world. It's been hard for them. They're going to pick that class. So we're at 2 of our 8 classes right now. Some of you may be at 3 classes if you had the full year algebra class or if you'd pick the AP US History. So by this point, everybody should either have 2 choices or 3 choices. Science class, you can see the drop-down menu. You're going to pick one of these 3. So there's 2 honors level choices. PES, algebra-based physics, are the honors level classes. PES standard level is what used to be called the merit level class. Just notice that algebra-based physics, you have to have taken Algebra 1 at the 8th grade level or plan to take the 18-week algebra in your freshman year in the first semester. So that one is considered to be the most challenging of the classes. PES is still a challenging class, but you don't need to have had the algebra. So in my student's case, let's just say they took PES honors. We're going to go with that one. So we're at 3 classes right there. Now we get into math, and there are a bunch of different choices. There is the Algebra 1, both in the semesterized version and the full year version. There is Geometry, Honors, and Standard level. There is Algebra 2 even for those that are doubling up. There's a class called Algebra 1 Acquisition, which is kind of like the year-long English classes, but in this case it's for math, for those where math might not be their easiest class and they're reaccessing pre-algebra. And then there are, of course, some virtual in-school versions for that as well. So what's going to happen is if you're picking just one math class, you go ahead and pick it. So, for example, if I want to take Algebra 1 18-week, I would have been recommended for that. I'm going to go ahead and click it. What you can do is, and you certainly do not need to do this, but if math is your thing and you love math, you can voluntarily choose to double up. And that would mean that if you took Algebra 1, for example, you could pick Geometry. If you were feeding into Geometry, you could also pick Algebra 2 Honors. And notice that I'm picking honors level classes because really if you were doubling up, you should be picking the honors level of both versions. Now the Algebra 1 18-week is the honors version for that class. Note that if you take the year-long class, which is the standard level 1, it counts as 2 choices. If you were to pick the double up, that would count as 2 choices. And the Algebra 1 Acquisition counts as 2 choices. So let's say in my student's case, they're going to pick the year-long algebra. Now it's important to note as I go back up, I'm counting to see how many I have. I've got 1 for the English, 1 for the American Studies, 1 for the PES, so I've got 3 credits, but now I'm up to 5 because Algebra 1 year long counts as 2 choices. So I have 5 of my 8 classes picked. And from here, the rest of it is kind of your choice as to how you want to round out the remaining 3 credits. You can choose to do your tech ed requirement, which can be met by either Foundations of Tech or Computer Science. You can choose to do health and fitness. Now notice that if you pick the virtual version of it, that is not going to count as one of your 8 choices. That is just indicating that that's what you're looking to do for your virtual health and fitness. You certainly do not need to do that at the virtual way, but some folks choose to do it. Notice that you must submit your paperwork to your middle school counselor by June 1st because those classes fill up very quickly. But if you were to pick this one, for example, don't count that as one of your 8 choices because it's going to be done above and beyond that class. And then you've got the fine art classes. You will need to take a fine art class at some point in high school. There's world language down here if you want to continue or start that. And then there's a bunch of electives down here in a variety of areas that count towards your elective credits. So in my case, let's kind of bounce around a little bit. Let's say I want to take health and fitness in the building. That's going to count as 1 class. The health and the fitness together count as 1 class. So that gets me to 6 total credits. Maybe I want to start on a world language, so maybe I'm going to pick French 1. That gets me to 7. You certainly could always double up if you wanted to. So if you love language or want to continue with it, you could pick 2 years of the language if that's something that you are interested in. Just remember to count as 2 separate classes. So I'm at 7 classes right now. Maybe my 8th one, maybe I want to put some PE in there. So let's go ahead and pick, I guess I'm a B student, we'll say is female, so girl strength training. So now I want to check and see that I have 8 classes. So I see girl strength training is 1. And then I see French 1 is my 2nd class. Looking for checks again. I've got health and fitness. That's my 3rd class. The algebra 1 year long, remembering that counts as 2 choices. So that is 4 and 5. PES is 6. American Studies is 7. English 9 is 8. So I have my 8 main choices. So now in 13 and 14, and this is very important, I'm going to now have to pick alternates. That if for some reason something doesn't fit, I'm going to make sure that I have some backup choices. And we're going to write the number down. So let's say, for example, if I can't get Foundations of Tech or another one of my classes, maybe I take my fine art instead. And maybe my first choice for fine art is guitar. So I look, it's 431160. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to make sure that number is correct. 431160, and I'm good. Okay, and then maybe my second choice down there, I look at the electives, and maybe I like the idea of pre-vet large animal, right? Maybe that's another class that I wouldn't mind taking. I'm going to put 493000, and I'm going to go back up and double check just to make sure I'm right. 493000 is for pre-vet large, making sure I'm not picking small. I think I'm good to go there. So now at 15, it asks, do you plan to take any graduation requirements at the virtual school? If you would pick that health and fitness virtually up there, go ahead and pick yes. If you're thinking of something else, pick yes as well. In my student's case, I'm going to say no. They're going to take their classes in the building, but you can pick whichever one fits for you. Do you plan to shadow a program at the Career and Technology Center? They will be at our electives fair. But you can get some initial information there. It's basically a 2-year program that you can start as early as your sophomore year and do sophomore, junior, or do junior and senior. Maybe my student is at least interested in that, so they're going to put yes down to get on the list. And then I'm in number 17. I'm reviewing my selections, making sure I chose exactly 8 courses and 2 alternates and that those numbers are clean. And I'm aware that some of my classes count as 2 credits, so I'm making sure I count them as 2 credits. And I'm going to hit yes. And I have 2 choices, save and return later, which means I'm not quite ready to submit, I want to run it by someone, or I want to think about it, or save and I am finished, which means that it will be done. Now, if I hit save and return later, I will be able to access it again in the About Me area under Surveys to Take. That is where it will be archived. When I am ready to submit, I am going to hit save and I am finished, so that if you hit the wrong button, it gives you one more chance to not make a mistake, but you're going to hit OK. And you are done, and your registration sheet is submitted. And so make sure that before you submit it, though, that you're sure you're done, because we're not going to be able to reopen it until the summer if you do not pick correctly or if you submit that. One last thing before, in the last minute here that I have before the timer runs out, I do want to say that the UHS Electives Fair, in which programs from across the county, CTC, IB, the counselors, all of our academic departments, among other folks that will be there. That will be held on Thursday night the 8th from 6 to 8. There will be a snow date of the 12th from 6 to 8, and it will be in the Urbana High School cafeteria. So if you can make it, it's a great night to check out some of the programs that we have. I appreciate your time and look forward to myself and my department working with you next year. And if you have any questions, feel free to start with your counselors at the middle school. And if they're unable to help you, you can reach out via email to our department. Have a wonderful day. Bye.